25th. Many of us are still at home during this coronavirus stay-at-home season, so I'm continuing my Post-it Pop Art series of live streams. So on Twitter yesterday, I asked Twitter followers which of these three Marvel superhero teams. So we did X-Men yesterday, so they're off the board. Other three left were Fantastic Four, Avengers, and Defenders. Fantastic Four narrowly beat out the Avengers and Defenders. It was touch and go there. It was flip-flopping back, and it was a tight race. Ended up being Fantastic Four, so I chose the Human Torch. I recently drew the Human Torch. There he is right there. This is a page of original art from Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, issue 13. Easy for me to say. Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man issue 13, guest starring the Fantastic Four. I helped out with this issue. So this is a page from that comic, and there's one of my more recent Human Torch illustrations. So I thought it'd be fun to do since I did Thing recently. The Thing, I love the Thing. One of my favorite characters, Ben Grimm, the Thing. I drew a post-it of him just earlier this year, so I thought, which other character could I draw? Let's try the Human Torch, another favorite. And also I want to try some new fun techniques. So you're welcome to draw along. Please do draw along with me. You don't have to draw on a Post-it note. You don't have to use the same tools I'm using. Use the tools and paper you have on hand. The important part here is to have fun drawing. So you don't have to have the same tools. You don't have to have the same skill set or levels because we're all different. I'm probably a bit older than many of you viewers, so I've had more time to study and practice. So draw at your skill level. Thing is, have fun, and maybe you'll learn a thing or two. I'll try to share some of my tips, tricks, and approaches to my art that might help inform how you approach your art. So let's flip the camera around and let's get to drawing. So gotta pop it out of the clip. And then re-plug back into the clip. Hope everyone's well today. Hope everyone's washing their hands and staying healthy. Get the Post-it on camera there. Adjust the rig a little bit more there. Hello everyone, welcome. Okay. So, I'm gonna start with my pencil sketch using my Uni Kurotoga 0.3 HB lead mechanical pencil. And we're going to start to rough in the head, starting with that circle. We're going to have them looking to the right a little bit, make them a little different than the previous Post-its I've done these past 5 days, here for day 6. So I got the circle, kind of finding the center of the face here. So coming across the top of the head there and down, I can figure out my jawline to the chin. So we're really going to give him a good 3/4 view, which could be a challenging view, but I really love a 3/4 view shot of a character. Adjusting the skull there. Got the eye line. Nose line, mouth line. So this is my foundation. Just figuring out the shapes and placement of everything. So we have the neck muscle coming there from behind the ear and at the jawline down. And the back of the neck there to the shoulders. The other shoulder over on the other side. Kind of rough in his collar right there. Start to figure out the eyes. So because his head's turned to the right a little bit, that means his eyes, everything kind of shifts to the right. And I have to keep in mind the placement of the facial features and how do the shapes change as his head turns. So we got the cheek, kind of line going right down there. And we got to figure out the nose, so we have kind of his brow here. Going down to the bridge of the nose, to the tip of the nose. I like to do a little diamond shape there. As a base, we're going to see one side of the nostril because it's closest to us, but the other side's kind of hidden on the other side of his nose there. Now he is going to be, we're going to have him flamed on, because you know Johnny Storm, he says flame on. So he's going to be flaming. He's going to be all torched up. So we won't see his pupils or irises. Going to give a little arc to his eyebrow there, because Johnny Storm, he's kind of a cocky sort of guy. I'm going to kind of give him a bit of a cocky smile too. Show a little bit of teeth there. Bottom lip. That's where his chin is. Just kind of double check the math here. Now I'm going to kind of draw him in the classic old school way, where he has those kind of grill lines all over his face and body. I always just thought that was kind of a cool look. So we're going to have these vertical lines running down. His body. Now you don't have to do this, but you know, render him as you would like. Now the flames, I want to rough in where all the flames will be. So it's going to have a lot of curvy cut kind of lines here. Some kind of showing the flames coming off of his head, as well as surrounding him. Some will be big chunks, some will be small chunks. We'll have some concentrated lines where they're more clustered together, some maybe not as much. Overlapping his shoulder. From the neck there, and we'll bring more detail in as we start to do the inked line art. A couple little flecks and flickers. Coming off of the main body of the flame. Okay, so that's just the basic pencil sketch there that I can now work with as I do my inks. Now I thought what would be fun is to do a color hold. A color hold is when we make, instead of using black lines, we use color lines to create kind of a different texture. It almost gives it kind of an animated look. We often do it in comics for special effects to make things look maybe make the flames look a little bit more organic or ethereal. So I'm going to use a dark red Pigmamicron, and I also have some brown Pigmamicrons, a 0.5 and a 0.05, to convey kind of a vibe that the flames are really really prominent. So I'm going to use this dark red for his body and facial features. I'm going to use the brown, a lighter shade, to convey the flame. So we're going to just start with this dark red here. And we're going to start dropping in the finished line work. Now, if you don't have colored pens, you can use colored pencils for your line art. You could use Crayola crayons, or any brand of crayon, really, or just use black lines. If you don't have colored inking pens, just use your black, and that's totally cool. Just the main thing is keep putting lines down on paper. Now where the flames are overlapping his head, I do not want to finish those lines through there. I want that flame to be behind him, around him, and over top of him as well. So I see, I've been getting this question a lot lately. I've answered it a couple of these post-its. I'm more than happy to mention it again. Is people asking, how do they find their art style? Very common question, and one that I think a lot of young artists feel to be a very valuable thing to do. And it is true. Having one style is kind of a signature to their art. And it can be very elusive trying to find the style. It can be very frustrating because we see our favorite artists and they have their own styles, and we want to find our own, especially when we're starting out. And my advice is kind of simply put, don't try to find your art style necessarily. Let your art style find you. And what I mean by that is focus on the basics. Focus on how to draw the human head, how to draw the human body, how to draw the backgrounds, how to tell the story visually, the basics. When you learn the rules, as you start to and become confident in the rules, you are then able to start breaking the rules. And when you start breaking the rules, that's kind of where your style is. If you start off breaking the rules, then things aren't quite fitting together as well as they could be. It's not going to have that cohesive believability that you would hopefully want to achieve. So it's really, how do you like to make your lines? How do you like to create your shapes? So that's why we learn the basics. And then from there, we kind of start to morph into what our style kind of becomes. Because we're doing the shapes that we like, the lines that we like. And that can evolve over time as well. My style has evolved over the years, both as a fan and also as a professional, just because I'm always learning new things. I'm always trying new things. And so that informs my art and kind of changes my art because I'm changing and growing as an artist. So that is my encouragement to you is, or I should say to all artists, is to just continue to learn, have fun, and let your style kind of evolve as you continue to grow your skills. So that's the main focus. Don't focus so much on, I've got to find my style. Focus on, how can I further my skills? And I think you will find that the style starts to emerge and you start to see how your artwork starts to become distinctive. Because that's what a style is a distinct way of drawing or approaching your art. Or maybe if you're a musician or a singer, you'll have your own style of musicality or voice, or even if you're like a writer, the way you write, the way you construct your words. So, or if you're a chef or a cook or a baker, the way you put together your recipes, your presentation. It's all going to be based on what you've learned and what you are continuing to learn and how you're evolving. So focus on getting the basics down, and it'll be fun to see how your style will emerge and evolve. That's just my take on it at this time. Other people might say differently. Heck, even I might say differently in the future as I continue to learn and evolve and grow. I'm just speaking from experience so far. Thanks for the kind words, everyone. I'm so glad that you're enjoying my videos. I'm so glad that they are informative to you, so thank you for those kind words. So just kind of adjusting some of my line weights here, kind of making some things thicker for a little more pop. Off the page. Okay, so that takes care of Johnny. You know, I'm going to kind of put a little bit of that collar around there. And now I'm going to tackle the flame lines with my brown micron. So I'm gonna, it's kind of going to be a subtle difference. The two colors are quite similar, the brown from the dark red, but I think it'll hopefully create for a kind of an interesting effect. That's what I'm hoping for. Trying to be very, very conscientious about the shapes that I make with my flames and the concentration of line. Like, this isn't just an afterthought. This is, I want to be deliberate. I want to be as deliberate as I can, which is a challenge here because I want the shapes to look organic, but I have to make choices. So it's not completely organic. I'm trying to give the illusion of organic. I'm also considering the design of it all. Like I was saying before, how concentrated certain lines are, how clustered together they are, how when I have larger open areas in the flames. These are all conscious decisions I'm trying to make to convey the flames and combustion from Johnny Storm's power effect. So it's not just I'm coming in and drawing a bunch of squiggles. I want to be as thoughtful as I can be to really create an interesting and graphically kind of, gosh, what are the words I'm looking for here? So focused on the flames, the graphic element of it all. I want it to be hopefully a pleasing shapes and effect, and the line work of it all that makes it interesting for the viewer to see. So not just a haphazard squiggles. Definitely not that. Because if I draw it all just a bunch of squiggles, it'll just look like a bunch of squiggles and it won't look like flames. So try to keep things in mind. Keep in mind what it is you're trying to achieve, the effect, the texture. You can even look at photos of flames and kind of study them a little bit and see how do you want to translate that into a line art graphic element. Okay, so that takes care of the line work. Now we can erase all these sketch lines and really see how this has all come together. So I'm using a Staedtler Mars plastic eraser, but just about any old eraser should do. Want to erase as carefully as possible so as not to crinkle the paper. And then we're going to come in with some markers here and add color to Johnny. Old matchstick, old hothead. I think the thing has quite a few nicknames for Johnny. All right, so there we go. There's the line work so far. So now we're going to start to render him out in color. I'm going to use Copic markers because that's my preferred brand, but you might be using different coloring materials, and that's totally, totally cool. So I'm going to start with some R27, Copic sketch marker R27. That's kind of my base shade of red. So like I said, I'm doing the kind of the classic old school Johnny Storm. I started reading comics in the 1980s, and this was kind of the approach that they had to the Human Torch, which had pretty much been the way he was portrayed since, Johnny Storm was introduced in 1961, long before I was born, and even longer still, the original Human Torch was actually, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Marvel Comics historians, I believe he was the very first Marvel character from the Golden Age comics. I'm not sure what year it came out. I think it was either late 1930s or early 1940s. Marvel Comics #1, which was published by Timely Comics. Marvel Comics didn't become Marvel Comics, a publisher, until the publishing company name, until 1961 with the Fantastic Four issue 1. Prior to that, they were called Timely Comics, and so Marvel Comics #1, the series Marvel Comics, came out through Timely Comics. And the original Human Torch from the Golden Age of comics was an android. So he wasn't even a human, he was an android called the Human Torch. He should have been called the Android Torch. And he was so flamed that you couldn't see his eyes, nose, or mouth. Like, all of this was just lines. It was like a humanoid sort of face. And then when Timely was going to change into Marvel Comics, they asked Stan Lee to create a superhero team, and that's when he created the Fantastic Four and decided to utilize the Human Torch, since the original Human Torch had drifted into obscurity and wasn't an active superhero. So he kind of repurposed Human Torch as Johnny Storm here. So I'm going to come in with some R27. It's a little bit lighter shade of red. Just going to kind of blend this in here. So it's a little bit of Marvel history there for you. I'm hoping most of that was as accurate as I am aware of from my studies of, and this is studies as just a comic book fan. I've been reading, like I said, I've been reading comics since the 1980s, since I was a kid, and so this is what I've been able to discern from my research. We're going to come in with a little bit of orange here, so we transition from the red to the orange of the flames. It's a little YR68. I'm going to color this orange over this red to really give that red a fiery orangey vibrance. Use this orange to start coloring in the flames as well. I'm going to come in with several different shades of orange to create this flamey texture. So following along the lines that I have established for my flames, I can kind of let the brush tip of this marker kind of dance amongst those lines to kind of create the flamey shapes and give the flames texture. I'm going to come in with a little YR27. It's a little bit of a darker shade of orange. Just going to put this in a few spots just to kind of help sculpt out the color. Because we can't really put shadow in the flames because the flames themselves are technically light, right? So we won't be putting any gray shadow through the flames. That just wouldn't, I don't think that would really look right. but I can use a little bit of a darker orange there to help kind of sculpt in some shape. So next up, a little YR12. It's a bit of a lighter shade of orange. Probably the lightest shade I currently have in my collection of markers. Definitely want to utilize the orange color of the paper as part of the flame, so I try not to use up too much of the orange real estate here. Maybe bring some of this light orange through some of the red parts of his body. And let's see, I think I want to come in with a little Y19. It's a yellow for his eyes and his mouth. His eyes and mouth are yellow from the flame. So a little YR23 to kind of sculpt in a little shape here to his eyes. I don't really want to come in with gray for the eyes because they are kind of portraying the white or the light coming from inside his eyes. I do want to put a little bit of gray in his body area, just because it is a solid mass, and though there won't be a lot of shadow, I just want a little gray in here just to kind of sculpt in some shape here. So don't plan on going too heavy with it, just a little bit in certain areas, just to kind of give him some three-dimensional definition. Like around the eyes, under the nose, under the bottom lip, bottom of the chin, underneath the chin, down the neck muscle there. Any place where I would technically have shadow, just going to put a little gray in here just to kind of sculpt them out a little bit. Just to give him a little more depth and dimension. Come back with a little R27 here. Just pump up the vibrancy of some of those reds. Also kind of thins out some of the gray in areas where I feel it might have gotten a little too dark. Okay. Now let's I'm going to create my fade, my classic fade. And I think we're going to try the warm gray. We're going to keep everything really warm in this one here. So I'm going to start with a warm gray. We're going to go even numbers. We're going to start with a warm gray 6. Then I'm going to kick that down to a warm gray 4. So just coloring over the previous color down into the open area of the paper. So we went from the 6 to the 4. Kick it to the 2, warm gray 2. And I think that'll fit the bill. So, time for the finishing move here. My Uniball Signo white gel pen. Just going to go around the perimeter of these flames to give the pop off the page. little bit more challenging because we got all these weird shapes to go around. Yesterday, Wolverine was pretty easy to draw on. Spider-Man can be the easiest because he's just a head and a neck. Wolverine's pretty easy because he just got the top of the head, shoulders in that weird mask shape. Even Donatello was pretty easy with that turtley head and shell and bow staff. But then here when you got flames, a bit more challenging. Just going to put a few little white flecks there to give a sense of embers popping off of him, like when you see a campfire, when the embers pop off the flames. A little bit like that. We don't want too many because I don't want it to look like a starry night. Nothing wrong with doing a starry night, just not what I'm shooting for in this post-it. Now we're going to put a little bit of white highlight here in the eyes. Just to give him a little sparkle in the eye there. And then we can put my my signature and date on here. So we're going to use the red micron again, or the dark red I should say. Today is the 25th. Is that right? Is that what I said at the top of the show? Yes, 25th. Of March. Did I say 25th of May? I meant 25th of March. 2020. And there we go. Johnny Storm, the Human Torch. Flame on. Do I use my Copic markers for my Marvel work or just for fun? Just for fun. Just for fun and commission type stuff, but not for my Marvel work. My Marvel comics are colored by my dear friend and incredible color artist, Rochelle Rosenberg. She is awesome. We've been working together ever since my Nightcrawler series, and she and I are kind of the team supreme. Pretty much all the editors know that she and I like to work together, and she does incredible work over my my line art. So you can find us together on pretty much every cover I do, as well as our current Gwen Stacy series on sale now. So let's flip the camera around here and we can close out the show. All right, let me plug back into the rig here and we'll sign off. All right. How long have you done professional work? I have done professional work for a lot of years. I would say this is my 26th year. 26 years I've been doing this as a professional. But I decided I wanted to be a comic book artist at age 14. And so that's when I started making my own homemade mini comics, which kind of taught me how to do panel-to-panel sequential art. This is not an easy language to learn. Takes a lot of practice. So if you want to be a comic book artist, start doing this. Start learning how to tell panel-to-panel storytelling pages. I can show you another page here from that same issue of Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man with the Fantastic Four. You got to learn how to draw the characters, the panels, the backgrounds, textures. You have to learn how to figure out, dark and light shadows, drawing crowds, perspective, energy textures. These are all things. Being a comic artist it's not an easy job, but it is a lot of fun. So the sooner you can start learning how to do this, because everyone's pages when they first start doing this, not all that great, because we're learning something brand new. So it's going to be challenging. So start doing that, start learning to have fun and figuring it out. Look into the book, How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. I don't know if it's still in print, but you should be able to find it on possibly Amazon, maybe on eBay. Most every other comic pro that I know, we all have used that book at some point in our learning how to draw comics. And it really teaches you the basics. It's a great book, with art by John Buscema, classic, incredible Marvel legend, John Buscema. Yeah, written by Stan Lee, and it's a good foundational book. So look into getting that book. Maybe check your local library as well, and start telling stories visually, because it's not just about drawing a cool picture of Spider-Man or Batman. It's creating a story. It's almost like directing a movie. So study movies, study TV shows, study the camera angles, and what choices did they make in their shots, because those are the types of choices you'll be making in your comic books. We're just not relegated to a movie screen dimension. We can have thin panels, circular panels, weird shape, geometric panels. I don't know how to make that shape with my hand, but you know what I'm talking about. Every shot doesn't have to look like a movie screen. We have all sorts of leeway. See here, I went with weird sort of diagonal panels here as I moved from here down to here. So you can't do that in movies or TV, not easily. I mean, you can do it if you utilize negative space. Anyhow, this isn't a discussion on that. With comics, we get to really get crazy with our storytelling, which can be a lot of fun. Gang, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I'm so glad you could join me again today. Hopefully you're staying well during this coronavirus stay-at-home season. Hopefully you're washing your hands. Don't touch your face, especially if you haven't washed your hands yet. We got to keep repeating that, because we don't want this coronavirus to last any longer than it has to. We want to try to get back to normal as soon as possible. I will be posting a shot of this Post-it note on my social media, so do be sure to check me out on social media. I will add all my links to the video description below, so you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and such. And yeah, and I'll probably be posting another poll as to which Marvel super team should I draw a character from next. It'll be between the Avengers and Defenders. The winner of that poll will be drawn tomorrow, and then Friday will be the fourth runner-up. So yeah, just who do I draw first, Avengers or Defenders? Because I'll be drawing an Avenger and a Defender in the next 2 days. 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Greenwich, here on my YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, do yourself a favor. Smash that subscribe button. Hit the bell to notify you when I schedule my live streams so that you don't miss out. If you like what you saw, please leave me a thumbs up. It would be greatly appreciated. And if you'd like, feel free to comment on this video. Just in the comment section below, just type in a thought if you have one. And gang, thanks again. Got to keep my words in order. Gang, thanks again for watching. I appreciate all your support. So glad to spend this time with you. I hope you're staying safe. Keep on drawing and keep having fun. I'm Todd Nauck. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.